goal was to go out and get us a guest, and I guess I'll leave it up to you to let us know who we have as our guest on the Preston and Steve show today for the Intern Olympics. Who do we have?
Yes, so I have 2 members from the band Silvertide.
Yes.
I have the drummer, Kevin.
Yo.
Hey, Kevin, how you doing? And
I have Walt, who is on the phone.
yes, you do.
He is the lead singer.
And we'll get him on in just a
Yes.
second. And who else?
And I have David Ivory, who is the producer.
I know David. David and I have worked together on a few occasions. How you doing, David?
Good. Hey, Preston, how you doing, pal?
Doing great, man. Good to see you. All right, well, let's get the gang from Silvertide on the show. Walt, are you there?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, how you doing, man?
Diamonds, diamonds, diamonds.
Diamonds. He's a big Ange fan.
I just have one question for you guys.
Yeah.
Is what's her name going to be quarterbacking this interview?
Oh, is Vicky?
Vicky, you know what? No. I mean, I'm sure she can jump in with some questions, but for the most part, it was just to get us a guest. And do you want
Can we get Regis then?
It's got to be off mic Regis, though.
Yeah,
I don't want any on mic.
I know, yeah. It's the only.
I want him quarterbacking it like the Hulk Hogan interview. Yeah.
Hey, by the way, where are you right now, Walt?
Well, you see, I got in on some property pretty early on in Mordor after the last rain fell, so it's a little bit hard to get passage through the dead marshes without.
Yes.
We understand, man. You got, especially with the storm damage. Yeah.
Wow.
It's
Yeah.
all,
Yeah.
Right,
it's bad.
well, let's find out what's the status with you guys right now, Kevin. I mean, are you as far as new music from Silvertide? What's going on?
After about 6 or 7 years of us, only talking here and there, I mean, everyone's been good friends over the last 6 or 7 years, but we stopped playing about 2007. We got together about 6 months ago, sort of by social networking, and everyone sort of texting each other, and, thousands of people responding online to a random picture here and there of the band. We said, all right, it's about time. What are we doing? We're all doing 5 different things, but it's about time we all get back together in Philadelphia, in this part of the world where we're from, and make some new music.
Has some people moved away?
Nick and Brian live in L.A. right now,
Okay.
doing different projects out there.
And you're able to record with them?
Yeah, I mean,
you're not together.
Yeah, they flew back.
Okay.
We played our sort of reunion show at the TLA. Did a sold-out show on March 9th.
Jackson was really banging that one.
Yeah, and Pierre was there, and everybody was there. It was
It's
awesome.
a big success, but let me ask you something. So does this now become the complete focus? Is the mission objective to reinvigorate the band and carry it to the places you hoped to get the first time around?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting because where we left off before, we sold worldwide like 400,000 records or something like that. We only had one album ever.
You were
and
building.
we were all really young.
Yeah.
We were signed, we were 16, 18,
Yep.
and now we're relatively adults, late 20s, something like that. It's kind of funny, everyone's in different places, but...
A lot of joint issues arising. And,
Yeah, a lot of things we don't remember from those days because we were young and
Things
happen.
Well, you know what? I got to ask Walt because Walt is a very dynamic singer. I mean, he really goes for it and gets way up there. How's the voice these days, Walt?
It's fine. I mean, it was a little bit. I was doing kind of like acoustic music, and then I had this band called Automatic Fire for a while, and we did a thing with Nick called Sinai, and they were all across the board, much different than Silvertide, a lot less bluesy. So it took me a little bit to get back in the swing of that, but it's like an old glove. You put it on, and within a couple weeks you're back to normal.
Does it just come from the fact that you're like, hey, you're sitting around and you're going, man, the stuff we did was really great. Maybe we didn't give it, you gave it a shot, but is it time to revisit it? Is it that organic, or how do you decide at this point just to say, let's put it back together?
Well, I think the thing for us was, as long as you can keep us out of jail and out of rehab, I think we're good.
Then you're good. That's all you need.
We're all mature adults relatively now, like I said.
Well, is it enjoyable now?
Yeah, I think, honestly, for everybody involved, we all do a million things, but this is kind of, the most enjoyable experience we've had in years for a lot of us. I mean, playing to that sold-out crowd at the TLA, a lot of our friends and fans and family that we haven't seen in forever, to hear 1,000 people scream the words louder than when we toured Japan a lot of times, louder than things like that when we remember when we were younger.
That Japan tour is when your drummer blew up, right?
Yeah,
the first one, the
that's
one you
me.
replaced.
That's the first time I blew up, and then I blew up again.
Right, yeah. Let me ask you. So are you ready to, if let's say everything takes off and starts running and
Yeah.
you say you're a little bit older, you're ready to sort of pull up stakes and start touring and doing the full deal as if it was 10 years ago?
I think whatever, I think we're a little bit smarter about it now. Like I said, everyone has different things going on. Some people are on tour with different people right now, otherwise, in other international touring acts.
Right.
People are doing different things otherwise. I think, rather than jump into it full force, there's already been offers to tour Japan, to do different national tours with big acts. Right now, I think the focus is to get back to where we were when we were kids, and we were young and dumb and things were good. When we played at Y100 with you guys, and we were real stupid, and we crashed the drums, and it was great. And everyone remembers, and that was fun. Yeah. We're trying to go back there. And one of those things is working with Dave Ivory, sitting to my right here. I mean, he's the man. He's, I don't even know, what is your title these days? He's like the international Grammy chapter, everything Grammys in Philadelphia. Dave is in charge of.
I'll set
one
up
way
Dave,
or another. And
Dave's got a recording studio, and it's literally in his backyard.
Right.
And I've over the years, a few times, I've been booked to do some voiceover stuff and had to record it at Dave's studio, which is awesome. And you walk in and you see, gold and platinum records hanging on the wall, Patti LaBelle, I think, in the Roots and stuff like that. And he's the real deal. He's a real producer. But I have to tell a story about David, and it wasn't until years later until I realized it. But I came in one time to do a VO session with you, and every now and then Dave would play me some tracks of some stuff here and there. And he played me a recording of this girl just screaming her head off.
Right.
Just wailing on these vocals. And I remember you saying, we're going to do something with this girl.
Right.
And it was probably, I don't know, 7-8 years ago, something like that.
Yep.
And it wasn't until you played that recording, it wasn't until like 3-4 years later that I heard Hailstorm, and I'm like, that's that chick that Dave was playing for me.
That's right, it sure
and
was.
it was, right?
Yeah, sure, yeah. I got her signed to Atlantic, and it was right on the heels of these guys. They blew up, and then a couple years later, about 2 years later, I found Lizzie out in York, PA, and started working with her and developing her. And then she got signed. You couldn't get her arrested 6 years ago, I mean, for nothing. And
now she's like the rock chick,
she won a Grammy this year.
That's
for
amazing.
Best rock vocal performance.
Yeah. Were you involved in that at all?
Not in that one, but I was involved in different parts of that record, yeah.
Okay.
But she was, she did great, and she's doing well. The band's doing great, and it's sort of like Silvertide and Hailstorm, this whole little family of and I have so many pictures, too, of these two bands jamming together at my place.
It's quite amazing. Their story, I mean, sort of where we stopped 7 years ago, took this quote-unquote hiatus, which it turns out to be now that we're playing again. They've been trucking ever since. They play all over the world, Germany, all these national tours, and they still are on their first album.
Yep.
Correct? And these songs are from when it's their second now, but for a long time on the one they won the Grammy on was the first album. They, it's still actively.
So those songs were around for like 8 years.
Like
7-8 years.
10 years ago.
Wow.
We heard the songs, and we toured. We did a lot of tours that were Hailstorm, Shinedown, and Silvertide. All three bands all the time. So I mean, we did 5 tours, and I heard those songs that are just on the radio last year. It's funny how that works,
Yeah, Dave,
many years ago.
Is that common for younger bands who they'll write these songs like 10 years ago, and eventually, even though they've had these songs with them for that long, they get recorded, they get promoted, they become a hit finally.
Right. Well, the interesting thing about the first record that, with Hailstorm is that, that was the time when everybody was releasing their own records, and they were just everybody giving CDs. And when we were coming up, I kind of had the attitude of like not having them release any of their songs because they were so good. The songs were so good. I thought that I didn't want to release them, and then the label could pick them up and go, oh, they're already out. We don't want to do them again. So we held on to like one of their singles, "It's Not You," which we did originally, right? Because we didn't release it, they heard it and they said, that's great. And what's up with it? I said, nothing's up with it. We just have demos of the record, and then we ended up cutting that, and that stayed on the record, and that was sort of like the philosophy with that.
Well, don't they say that it's because a band breaks, they've had years and years and years working on these songs and perfecting them. But then it's the second album that's the follow-up album that's the hardest because you depleted your stock and now you got to go in brand new.
And also I think, like going back to Silvertide, I think this record, one of the main objectives was that we wanted to make this an organic, and so it's like their next song from that record that we all like. We didn't try to make this a big departure record. This is really still Silvertide. In fact, everything we did, them coming back into the studio, it was like old home day. It was like, I swear to God, it was like they never left. And it was, you never saw a happier group of guys because, there wasn't the business wasn't involved.
Right.
Other people weren't involved. It was actually just us making music. You know what I mean?
Hey, Walt, does Dave still have that Joust video game in the studio?
And that's in the house now.
Oh, it is. Damn.
Kids took that over.
Did they? Hey, Walt, by the way, are you guys doing this with label support, or is this something that you're funding on your own?
Right now, I want nothing to do with labels. I mean, I'm waiting it out. It's a lot more organic and pure. We can stay away from it. You know what? If we got offered something really great, a great package that worked for us, that would be amazing. But we learned kind of early on, as great as J Records was to us, when the term says creative control in the contract, it really means mutual creative control.
Yeah.
And that's something that, I don't know, we could never really swallow that one totally. A lot of bands can deal with it, but when we feel really strongly about a song, whether we think it's a single or not, it's irrelevant to us. If we love the song, we love the song. And one of the examples I always use, and one of my favorite bands is REM. And, the label, the story that I was told, they handed in Losing My Religion, and the label kept shooting it down, saying, the entire song's a mandolin, I just don't get it. And the band stuck to their guns, and lucky for them, it became what it was. You know?
I remember when you guys we came into Y100 Preston, hadn't they just been seen and
yeah, they played the Grape Street, and we asked Walt. I remember exactly, like, so tell us about this big show, and he was like, oh, it was cool, we had a good time, blah 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 blah, and we found out later on that Clive Davis had stopped by, and Walt didn't mention anything about it. I'm like, that's a little detail you may have want to shared with us,
because he wined and dined 17-year-olds.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not legal.
No, but that was you guys were starting to really to make some noise, and
and thank you guys for being there early on. I mean,
Absolutely.
you guys hold fingers on the pulse of Philly, and it's great. I mean, all us Philly bands, Hellstorm and us included, and all the rest of them that are out there, they're all kind of special because Philadelphia has this thing where no matter how much crap you throw at us, we just keep coming back with it. We're kind of very persistent people in a very persistent city.
Yeah.
And, and thank you guys for always promoting everything about it and putting it out there.
Our pleasure. We're looking forward to some newer music. And Vicky, do you have a question for the guys? Since this is your guest, I may as well ask.
Yes, I actually want to ask, is there anything fans can expect that's different from the old Silvertide?
Different? That's kind of an interesting question because everything we're doing right now is trying to aim to do nothing different. It's 7 years later, everything is very different, and the one only mutual goal is do things the same as it was. Let's record with Dave like we did originally. Yeah. Let's go back and do things exactly the same and don't change anything up.
Well, I think just by the fact of the virtue of new songs is going to be different, and that's going to be. I think that's going to be the beauty of it. The fact that here we got more songs from the same, from these same group of guys that are playing, and I think there's a big void of this kind of music in there anyway. To be honest with you.
When can we expect the first release?
Soon.
Good answer.
Yeah, Kev and I have been.
Stop pressuring him.
Kev and I, we've been trying to collaborate for a few years now on a record. Maybe we can hook up with David.
Oh, really?
What is this rap? I was thinking that on the way down.
I don't
want
to rap, man.
When is that expected to drop, Case?
I've done some hip hop in my day.
I'm more of like an R&B.
Yeah, Casey can sing. Yeah. I'd like to hear that.
Like once every 3 years, Casey and I text or Facebook each other, like, let's do this, and then we don't talk to each other for years.
Casey's going to write lyrics.
Everyone has that person on Facebook and social networking.
Casey's most often likened to Muddy Waters. That's your
I think
sound.
so.
Yeah,
well, we both have 3 kids. It's impossible to do anything.
I know.
Let's see if we can make that happen. All right, well, listen, great to catch up with you guys. Glad to hear that things are moving forward and that we'll be hearing some music sometime in the near future. And Walt, we'll have to have you in the studio if you can make it out when you get through Mordor. And all right, my man.
Promise I will. Thank you guys again. Gadzooks.
Gadzooks. All right, let's hear it for the guys at Silvertide. David Ivory.
Thank you.
Nice job, Kevin and Walt and David, and good job, Vicky.
Thank you.
So there you go. That's her entry for the Intern Olympics for this particular week.
Join us again when hapless college